to the Republic Positive Influencer Show. A phenomenal 30 minutes wheel with me, Tanvi Sood, from this splendid campus of the Republic Media Network. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to bring you a diverse range of content put together tirelessly by our positive influencers. Some who have been working with us over the last few weeks, some who have just been onboarded. Now, before I get to the content, if you think you can be a Republic Positive influencer, go to www.republicpositiveinfluencer.in and drop that video. Our teams are screening your content round the clock and you'll get that phone call. Now, let's go straight to the content. There's so much going on in the world of science and medicine. All of us seem to be asking ourselves one simple question: how do we live a long and healthy life? Now wait for it, because our first positive influencer today, she's already hugely popular on social media. She's a full-time practicing doctor, Dr. Vishakha Shivdasani. Now she puts together 4 simple steps, 4 pillars as she calls it, to live a long and healthy life. Watch this, because this is the reset you need this weekend.
Longevity is the new buzzword. Everyone's talking about living to 100. But now that's only important if you don't spend those extra years battling disease, hooked to machines, and don't have any cognition and mobility issues. The real question is then, what does it take not just to live long, but to live well? A long, healthy life depends on 4 core pillars. Let's talk about these 4. 1. Muscle mass. Did you know? After the age of 60, you lose 1% of muscle mass each year. This is called sarcopenia. And you really have to fight to preserve this. Your muscle is a key driver of aging. Lose muscle and you lose function. And that's your quickest decline. Second, a robust immune system, which is so important not just to fight infections, but also to fight serious diseases like cancer. 3. Cognition. Protecting your brain is non-negotiable. Dementia starts several years, even decades, before presenting with any symptoms. Chronic disease prevention. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease are the quickest cause of decline, both in health span and lifespan. Now, this is where longevity medicine comes into play and differs from conventional medicine. Why and how? 1, it's proactive. You act before a problem shows up. It's preventative. You don't wait for disease to take action. And 3, it's so personalized. It's based on your genetics, on your gut health, on your biomarkers, and on your lifestyle. That being said, there are certain universal principles that apply to all of us. And let's talk about those. Let's start with nutrition. The food you eat is either fighting disease or it's feeding it. So what you do, you eat mostly plants, you get protein, enough protein but not too much protein. And please make fats your good friend and don't fear them. Just include the good omega-3 fats and remove the rancid fats. High glycemic foods spike your blood sugar, take your hormones completely out of whack and cause chronic inflammation and also chronic illness. Sugar deserves a category of its own. It's a good idea to limit, if not eliminate, if you want a great health span and a lifespan. Talking about exercise, do you know that movement and exercise now has a longevity prescription? It turns out that about 45 minutes of walking about 4 days a week is what we call zone 2 is very good. Also, short training, short bursts of training have big benefits. So we're looking at 1 HRIT or really quick workout every week. And it is so important to include strength training. Especially if you're a woman, you need this to preserve muscle mass. And I've explained the importance of that. It turns out grip strength is actually a great predictor of longevity. So make sure you include that. Sleep is the most underrated arm of longevity. Did you know that even 2 nights of sleep deprivation can actually increase your insulin resistance? Imagine what chronic sleep deprivation does to you. It increases the risk of Alzheimer's, of diabetes, of hypertension, even of cancer. So you make sure you make sleep a priority and you get your 7 to 8 hours of good quality rested sleep. And then human connection and mindset. I have some surprising facts for you. Did you know that an optimist lives 15% longer than a pessimist? It also turns out that human connection is a strong predictive marker of longevity. People who feel supported, who feel loved, and who feel seen live longer. So if you want to live long, spend time with those who matter. And finally, there is testing. Here's what most people don't realize. Your body is excellent at hiding disease. So this is what I tell all my patients. Test, don't guess. Regular blood work gives us the data to act not just early, but strategically. Now, I'm not here to tell you that if you follow these principles, both you and I will never get sick. Not at all. But I am saying this: you have far more control over how you age. When you work with data, when you work with the right principles and the right strategy, you don't just live longer, you live much better. You live with energy, you live with vitality, and you live with a sense of purpose. And that can start today. Stay well.
Are you wondering how to take it to the next level if you're a leader at a professional organization? Are you worried about the next appraisal cycle and whether you'll be able to upskill to show your managers that you have upskilled to the next level? Well, don't worry, because we've got you covered. Positive influencer Purnima Kotak takes us through Career Hacks 101 on how to bag that big promotion. Here it is, watch it and then hit that week on Monday.
Hello and welcome to the part 2 of the 2-part appraisal series. My name is Purnima Kotak and I'm India's first leadership branding coach. The part 1 of the appraisal series was dedicated to those of you who just took on a new role, you got promoted. In that video, we spoke about how to position yourselves as a leader and as a brand from day 1. This video, the part 2, is for those of you who are looking forward to a promotion in the coming year, 2026. Most people start working harder and want to create an impression in people's minds. The difference is between working hard and working with a strategy. That's the game we're going to be discussing today. Here are a few pointers that you may want to immediately start practicing to establish yourself as a compelling candidate for the next year's appraisals. Number 1, being seen as the leader that you want to be once you grow into the next role. You don't have to wait till you get the next role to be that leader. You can start right away by moving or shifting from the manager mindset to the leadership mindset. You can motivate your teams to bring in the numbers. You do not have to push numbers. People will get those numbers if they are motivated. You also can be the example that your people want to follow. Point number 2 is your executive presence is a non-negotiable. Sometimes we get calls from tall leaders of big organizations asking us to help them with building their executive presence. Though it's not too late, I would prescribe that you start early. Even if you're a manager or a senior manager, start looking at yourself as a contender for a tall position very shortly. Build your executive presence right away. All you need to do is look after your appearance on a daily basis, see the way your posture is, show your conviction, show clarity, and manage your tone of voice. Also, whenever you start a meeting, start with composed clarity and end with directional clarity. There you begin your executive presence. Third point, build your perception equity quietly and consistently, because promotions are based on perceptions. So build your visibility very carefully in people's minds, create memories in people's minds. Volunteer for strategic visibility, take part in cross-functional activities, and volunteer for internal tasks. Also, volunteer for becoming a mentor. Start speaking the language of outcomes and not the language of activities. For example, when someone says, I handled a team of 12 people, this doesn't mean anything. How about this? I led a team of 12 people that improved the turnaround time by 27%. This sounds impressive, right? So this is the language I want you to start speaking, which means you need to reframe your achievements to a business language and not effort language. Point number 5. This is very, very critical for every leader who wants to grow. Align to the organization's vision, mission, values, and goals. This is very important. When you build your work strategies, build it on the strategies of the organization so that you're aligned there. In every meeting, refer back to the organization's strategy, vision, mission, and goals. That way, you also create an influence as a leader with people around you in the meetings. Finally, share with people that your values, your goals, your work is aligned to that of the organizations. This will help you create an influence by far. Like I said earlier, hard work alone never got anyone anywhere. For you to get your promotion in the next upcoming appraisal, you need to put a strategy for your leadership branding. You need to know how you want to be perceived, and you need to walk up to that perception. Follow these 5 points to position yourself as the top contender for your next year's promotion. This will also give you the confidence to straight away discuss your promotion in your next appraisal. Wishing you good luck for your next upcoming year and for your promotion next year.
Have you ever wondered about the origins of the 51 Shakti Peeths? Those divine sacred spots revered not just in the Indian subcontinent but across the world. Well, positive influencer Shalini Modi takes us through the origins through rich mythology and tells you the origins of these sacred spots. Watch this and get enriched.
Just like our scriptures, our ancient temples too are powerful energy centers. And these places have been chosen carefully by our sages and learned men, which add to their power. With so many people worshipping, coming there to pray for thousands of years, these places become energy centers. So let's deep dive into this world of temples and discover the divinity within. Let me first tell you what a Shakti Peeth is and also take you on the journey of its backstory. Devi Sati was born to Daksh Prajapati, son of Brahma, and to Virni. In some cases, some of the Puranas mention her mother as Prasuti. And as she grew up, Lord Brahma and other Devtas, they went to Lord Shiva at Kailash and asked him, requested him to marry Sati. Shivji agreed to their proposal, saying that he had only one condition, that Devi will never doubt his words. Brahmaji accepted his condition and straight went to Sati's parents, who were overjoyed. And Shivji and Sati Ma were married. They sat on Nandi and went to Kailash and spent some time alone in solitude. After that, they both went to roam the world. And one of the places they visited, interestingly, was Dandakaranya, the forest where Ramji was residing during his exile period. Here, Sita Ma had just recently been abducted by Ravan. And so Ramji was distraught, he was crying, he was shouting her name, just like any mortal human. Shivji bowed down to him from far away and prayed to him, paid his respects. Sati Ma was very surprised. She thought, how could Shivji, her husband, be bowing down to someone so mortal? Shivji told her that he was his Ishta Devta. But Sati Ma had a lot of confusions and doubts in her mind. It's almost like any disciple who has doubts before they reach Paramatma. She told Shivji that she had to go and test Lord Ram. And Shivji said, suit yourself. So off went Mata. And disguised as Mata Sita, she approached Lord Ram, who instantly recognized her and bowed down, saying, Pranam Mata. Sati Ma was again very ashamed that she had come to test Lord Ram, and she went back to Shivji, but refused to disclose what had happened there. Shivji, through his yogic powers, could of course see what happened. He decided to renounce her as a wife within for two reasons. One, because she had doubted his words, and that was one of his conditions to Brahmaji before marrying her. And the second was that she had taken the form of Sita, whom he considered as Mata. So, because of her taking the form of his Mata, he could not see her as a wife anymore. However, he did not disclose this truth to her, and they went back to Kailash. At Kailash, Shivji sat in deep meditation and opened his eyes after a very long span of time, only to see Sati Ma very upset at not being invited to a yagya, a huge ceremony that was being organized by her father Daksh. What upset her more was that all her sisters and their husbands were invited, but she and Shivji weren't. Shivji advised her that she shouldn't even think of going there uninvited. But she said it's her father's house and she had full right to go there. Shivji sent a whole army of Ganas with her. Devi Ma reaches the Yagyashala, and seeing Brahmaji, Vishnu, Bhagwan and all the other Devtas, she was very angered at them. She was angered because they were attending a yagya without her husband being present. Her father was overjoyed at meeting her and said that she should partake in the yagya, but at the same time he started criticizing Lord Shiva. Sati could not handle that, and she decided to give up her body because she felt that she had made all these mistakes of doubting her husband in this body and needed a makeover. She sat down and did her yogic practices, bringing her breath, raising it from one chakra to the other, and finally leaving her body. The moment she left her body, the Ganas were angered and distraught at the same time. Some of them gave up their body with her, and some attacked those present. The moment Shivji heard about it, he came to the spot himself. Though before that, he sends Veerbhadra and Bhadrakali with a huge army to destroy the Havan, Yagya, and all those who were present, including Daksh. He produced Veerbhadra from his matted hair and Bhadrakali too. After that, he himself went on the spot and carried Sati Ma's body around the universe in anger. Vishnu Bhagwan realized that this would lead to pralay, and so to put everything back to normal, he sent his Sudarshan Chakra to cut Devi Ma's body, which got cut into 51 parts and dropped at various places. These are the 51 Shakti Peethas, where the Shakti Peeth temples came up, and to protect the fierce and the raw energy of Devi here, Bhairav Baba, or the fierce roop of Shivji, sat there guarding the temples.
Operation Sindoor. We have lived through what history books will be made of. Now our next positive influencer, Navjot Singh, was a former IB officer. And in the next anecdote, he takes us through this interesting story from the tenure of Zia-ul-Haq, of how the ISI and the Pakistani establishment worked together to push terror into Jammu and Kashmir, and how the Indian people have always stood against it. Watch this, and let me tell you, the big headline here is that the Indian armed forces and the Indian people have always pushed back Pakistan's nefarious designs.
Today I'm going to tell you a story from the mid-1980s. April 18, 1988, Pakistan President Zia-ul-Haq called a secret meeting of his intelligence officers and various agencies. And the plan was disintegration of India plan, Zia plan, or the liberation plan. Friends, इस प्लान को ऑपरेशन टुपैक के नाम से भी जाना जाता है. अगर हम 18वीं शताब्दी में टुपैक अमारू 2 की बात करें, so he waged a war, he waged a revolution against the colonial policies of Spanish regime in Peru. Drawing from that, the Pakistan President Zia-ul-Haq, he also wanted to create this narrative in creating this insurgency in Kashmir. तो आखिर ये ऑपरेशन टूपैक है क्या? इस ऑपरेशन टूपैक को समझने के लिए आपको पहले 1965 में जाना पड़ेगा. 1965 वॉर, when Pakistan launched this Operation Gibraltar. अब ऑपरेशन जिब्राल्टर में पाकिस्तान ने अपने एसएसजी कमांडोज को कश्मीर वैली में भेजा ताकि वो एक इंसर्जेंसी को क्रिएट कर सकें. बट विद द एस्ट्यूट लीडरशिप, पॉलिटिकल एज वेल एज मिलिट्री, वी वर एबल टू सक्सेसफुली थ्वाट Pakistan's nefarious designs. Cut to 1971, we were able to create Bangladesh, another country. Pakistan could not take this too compassionately. पाकिस्तान को ये चीज जो बांग्लादेश क्रिएशन के बाद पाकिस्तान के लिए बहुत बड़ा धक्का था. And then the policy of Pakistan changed because Pakistan realized कि अब वो फुल ब्लोन वॉर करके इंडिया को नहीं हरा सकते हैं. तो उन्होंने एक पॉलिसी स्टार्ट की टू ब्लीड इंडिया बाय 1000 कट्स, ब्लीडिंग इंडिया बाय 1000 कट्स. एंड उनको वो जो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली 1987 में, 1987 इलेक्शंस वर रिग्ड, allegedly rigged, और वो जो कश्मीर वैली में इंसर्जेंसी क्रिएट होने का जो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिला उनको, उसका उन्होंने ऑपरेशन टूपैक लॉन्च करके एक बड़ा ही इस्तेमाल किया उस चीज का. अब पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर में और बाकी एरियाज में उन्होंने टेरर लॉन्च पैड्स को शुरू किया और वहां पे जो ट्रेनिंग दी जाती थी, दैट ट्रेनिंग वाज अ वेरी सिस्टमेटाइज्ड स्टेयरकेस मॉडल. स्टेयरकेस मॉडल क्या है? जिसमें स्टेप बाय स्टेप आपको पहले इस्लामिक जिहाद में जाना है एंड देन यू वेज फुल ब्लोन वॉर अगेंस्ट इंडिया. तो उसके ट्रेनिंग का जो पहला हिस्सा था, दैट इज दौराए आम. दौराए आम में क्या किया जाता था? कुछ लोगों को चुना जाता था जिनकी रेडिकल टेंडेंसीज थी, हु वर ससेप्टेबल टू रेडिकलिज्म. फिर उनको इस 21 दिन के प्रोग्राम में ट्रेन करके, दे वर ट्रेन्ड इन बॉम्ब मेकिंग, लोकल मटेरियल्स का इस्तेमाल करके बॉम्ब कैसे बनाया जा सकता है. उनको फर्स्ट एड का भी ट्रेनिंग दिया गया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ दे आर इंजर्ड, हाउ दे आर एबल टू सर्वाइव. दे वर ट्रेन्ड इन मैप रीडिंग, कार्टोग्राफी, ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. अब दौराए आम में जो मर्सिनरीज अपना मेटल प्रूव करते थे, अब उन मर्सिनरीज को नेक्स्ट स्टेज में ले जाया जाता था. दैट वाज दौराए खास. नाउ दौराए खास वाज अ 3-month extensive training program where these mercenaries, these mujahids, they were trained in POK, various training camps. Now cut to 9/11. When 9/11 happened, तो उसके बाद पाकिस्तान के ऊपर एक अमेरिकन प्रेशर भी आया. किस तरह से? now they could not openly carry out these operations which they had been doing till 1980s. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan happened and the Pakistani defense minister has recently embarrassed himself in the American news channel where he accepted this, that we have been doing dirty work for the Americans. तो अब 2000 के दशक में क्या पाकिस्तान की ISI की स्ट्रैटेजी थी? दिस इज फेज 2 ऑफ द प्लान. अब इसमें क्या करते हैं वो? आपने सिमी का नाम जरूर सुना होगा, स्टूडेंट इस्लामिक मूवमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, विच वॉज फाउंडेड इन 1977. ये एक इंडियन मुस्लिम्स की वेलफेयर के लिए एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाई गई थी. लेकिन ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम इसमें रेडिकल टेंडेंसीज का बढ़ के इट वाज यूज्ड टू क्रिएट सम सेक्टेरियन स्ट्राइफ विद इन इंडिया.
And that's all I could pack in episode 6 of the Positive Influencer program. If you enjoyed the show, then drop us some comments with the hashtag. Our teams and our positive influencers will be supremely motivated. And if you think you have it in you to be a Republic Positive Influencer, then go to www.republicpositiveinfluencer.in and drop that video sample. If you think that's too complex and you just want to send it to us on WhatsApp, the WhatsApp number is on your screen. Drop your video samples and our teams will get back. Our intent at Republic is to create the widest pool of creators championing the cause of positive content so that the digital ecosystem in India is fueled by positivity. That's it for me, Tanvi Sood, and I'll see you in the next episode this evening. Thank you so much for watching.